Hi y'all, it's Russell Buck Fletcher coming to you again from beautiful San Joaquin Valley, Tulare County. And I'm just sitting here waiting for my truck to warm up. But I figured I'd talk about something real quick that's been on my mind for a couple days. And that's these protests up in Portland a couple days ago between the Proud Boys and Antifa. And what it means to, what it means, not only means to me, but, means to a lot of people. And what I see the issue is. And the issue that I see with it, number one, is mislabeling of yourself. One of the things that really gets to me is when people mislabel things because they want to deceive. And that's what Antifa does. Antifa, for those of you who don't know, stands for anti-fascist, which is cool. I mean, who's for fascism? Who likes Nazis? I don't. Even as a collector of historical things, I stay away from Nazi stuff. I've held stuff that was from the Nazis. Never got a good vibe off of it. I don't deal in it. I don't collect it. I just stay away from it. But the only thing that I ever like that has Nazis in it is when some Nazis being punched. One of the reasons why I like the Indiana Jones movies is because, he's constantly punching the Nazis. I mean, punching a Nazi is fun. It doesn't matter who you are, So, there's that. But their tactics are very fascist. And their limitations are very fascist. One of the things that really bothers me is that one of the things that their group tends to do in general is say, well, if you're against us, you're a fascist. Well, that would be true, except you mislabeled yourself because you're acting like a 1930s brown shirt group in Germany. You're trying to limit free speech. You're trying to limit weapons, except that, you guys have weapons. You're covering your faces. You're trying to violently implement the political ideology that you want, which is to control everything. Now, with that being said, some of the tactics that they use are incredibly disturbing. And for me, they're infuriating. Such things as milkshaking. When they take a milk-based product that's thick, commonly referred to as a milkshake, and they add concrete to it. Well, concrete is extremely alkali to begin with, and then you add it to a milk-based product and it becomes even more alkali. And then they throw it at people, and not only does it hurt because the concrete's starting to set up a little bit, but spreads out and it causes a caustic burn. Well, that's chemical warfare right there. The fact that they cover their faces. Okay, I can see why you cover your face when you're not wanting to be identified. I can see why you would do that. But also the fact that their general group, the left-leaning political ideology, tends to hate firearms to the point that they want to take them away from everybody. But yet they themselves will use firearms is very disturbing. The fact that they will also use brass knuckles and batons on elderly people is absolutely disgusting. I mean, when you pick on somebody in the opposing group who is least likely to put up resistance, you are not fighting. You are simply bullying and harassing. So that's something that really ticks me off to no end. The use of bear spray, at least it's non-lethal. But still, bear spray, it's not the same pepper spray that I used to spray on my hot dogs. Let's just put it that way. Chasing women down who have babies, that is disgusting. That is disgusting. But I'll get to the whole woman baby thing here in a second. So that's my problem with Antifa, is that they mislabel themselves. They are supposedly anti-fascist, and they say that if you're against them that you're a fascist, but yet they take stuff right out of Hitler's playbook. And people tell me, well, there's no such thing as mislabeling. Well, yeah, there is. I mean, let's take North Korea, for example. Their official name is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, the DPRK. Now, we all know that North Korea is not a republic. It is not run by the people, and it is not democratic. So that's obviously a mislabel. Very obviously a mislabel. China. China's another one. The People's Republic of China. That is their actual name. We all know that it's not a republic, and we all know it's not run by the people. It is a communist dictatorship, which at one time was extremely brutal, but no longer so. They're lining up a little bit, but if you think that they're democratic, just go talk to the people over in Hong Kong, and they might give you a different answer. By the way, anybody in Hong Kong that's saying this, we over here in the United States see you. Patriots, true patriots of the United States see you. We support you. And keep up the fight. Don't let the communists win. You deserve better than what China could ever give you. So that's a personal message to all the people over in Hong Kong that may see this either now or sometime in the future. So there's that. But now let's go over to the Proud Boys. And they're the opposing group. They're the far right wing group that went to Portland to protest. Okay. I have some problems with them too. One, women who bring their children. Not a good thing. Not a good idea. Never a good idea. If you have a child with you, your mental state really needs to be looked at. Seriously. That's not okay. It tends to make me believe that maybe you brought that child with you to use as a human shield. That is disgusting if that was your plan. The Proud Boys don't cover their face. They're out there, they're bold and everything else. That's cool. Problem is that makes you easily identifiable. That's sometimes bad. The other thing is that I'm not one to back down from a fight, but I don't go out looking for trouble. And by going to Portland, Oregon, which everybody knows is the de facto home of Antifa, you are looking for trouble. So I gotta blame them on that one a little bit. There's plenty of places in Oregon to protest and get your point across. Now, their stated goal was to rile up the far left, which they did. Congratulations. You achieved your goal. The main issue is that you should not be going out looking for trouble. Now, with all that being said, the ones that I feel really sorry for are the Portland police. The Portland Police Bureau, the PPB, because they have been basically giving de facto orders to stand down, but yet the people of Portland want them to maintain order. But yet when the police go out there to maintain order, there's people on the far left with the Antifa who live in Portland who call the police fascists and racists and everything else, and think that they are their personal bosses. And I really have to hand it to the Portland Police Department that they, considering the circumstances that they're under, they do an incredible job. They really do. And they show extreme professionalism in the face of very unprofessional people, and people who sometimes act just like animals. But with all this being said, if we do not come together again as a country, this business is going to get out of control. And I've already had some friends who I've talked to about this who said, we are basically in a soft civil war. And I would, I'm starting to agree with that. That we are in we're at the start of a very soft civil war. There are areas of this country that look like third world countries, not just because of the homeless, but because after these clashes, windows are broken and cars are flipped over, and things are set on fire, and we cannot survive like this. And the problem is that I don't see it getting any better anytime soon, because two groups, the far left and the far right, have taken over, and everybody that's kind of in the center is always seen as a traitor. And one of the things that really gets me is the idea that that we have to be this way, and we don't. But there are certain things that we should not compromise on. Amendments to the Constitution are one of them. And right now, the real sticking points are the 1A, the First Amendment, the 2A, the Second Amendment, the 4A, the Fourth Amendment, and the 8A, the Eighth Amendment. And of course, everybody knows what the Second Amendment is. Guns. Some people interpret it some way, other people interpret it the other way. But there's also the First Amendment. And such things as, labeling something hate speech simply because you don't like it is very disturbing. It's extremely disturbing. And the Eighth Amendment, no cruel and unusual punishment. That one is trying to be infringed upon, because there are people out there that are like, well, we should lock people up because of hate speech. Well, that's kind of cruel and unusual to lock somebody up because you don't like what they said. And then, of course, you got some people that are like, well, if they say something I don't like, they should be hanged, and, but they should die a slow, painful death while hanging, basically strangulation. And, no, you can't do that either. Our founding fathers were very smart. They were very smart, and they were very motivated. But we do need to recognize that there are some things that have gone too far. This whole thing of personal firearms. I totally agree with it. That's what it says in the Constitution. Respect the comma. There's a comma between the militia part and the right of the citizen to keep and bear arms. There's a comma there. That comma is there for a reason. It separates the two sub-articles of Article 2. But at the same time, all of you who are going out and buying AK-47s and getting 100-round magazines, not clips, they're not clips, they're magazines. There's a difference. You know, I'll say this right now. You got more disposable income than I do, because for the price of that AK-47 and the 100-round magazine and the ammo that goes into it, you could buy a used Honda. So, you know, more power to you. That's capitalism. If you can afford it, cool. I would not carry that around as my everyday weapon, though. I really would not. Me personally, I'm a rifle guy. I like rifles. I like multi-shot rifles that are usually loaded by clip. I am very big into revolvers. I know. Everybody's into semi-automatics. You know, mostly 9mm. I'm into revolvers. That's my thing. I like revolvers. And it's not just because I love the Old West or whatever. It's because they're simple and they very rarely jam. And frankly, when you pull it out, it doesn't look like a toy. I mean, I've seen some of these cheaper semi-automatic pistols, and you pull them out and they look like BB guns. And I just kind of have to laugh at that a little bit. But a revolver, a good revolver, looks like a serious pistol. Yeah, she only got 6 shots, and yeah, if you're using it for personal protection, you should have all the ammo you need. But you know what? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a big guy. Maybe it's because I'm intimidating looking. Maybe it's because I'm just, I don't know. Maybe it's because my breath stinks and nobody wants to be around me. But I have never found anybody to try to attack me where I would think I would need more than 2 or 3 shots, if that. But I've never had somebody try to attack me before either, where I didn't have time to think first. So that's something else. But that's my whole that's part of my take on the Second Amendment. The First Amendment, though, freedom of speech, hate speech, cannot understand that whatsoever. Hate speech. Well, if you start saying that something is hate speech, well, and you can't say it, well, that's restriction of free speech, because you're no longer having free speech. You're just having free speech within the confines of the law. Well, that's not free speech. You know, free speech is where you get to say whatever you want, as long as you don't cause a panic. An example would be that yelling fire in a crowded theater, causing a panic and killing a couple of people, that's not free speech. That's causing a riot, using your right to free speech, and that can't happen. But if you post something on social media saying, I don't like fat people, well, okay, that's just your opinion, man. As the dude would say on the Big Lebowski, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion. If you came up to me and said, I don't like fat people, okay, that's your opinion. You're an asshole. That's my opinion. Cool. But now we got to the point where somebody says, oh, I don't like fat people, and then, some fat guy goes off and files a lawsuit. Next thing you know, you're being dragged into court, and oh, that's hate speech. No, that's not a hate speech. That's your opinion. Okay, fine. And then the 8th Amendment, cruel and unusual punishment. We cannot be doing that. We got away from that. No cruel and unusual punishment. get that through your thick head. You may want to do it, but we cannot. We are limited by our Constitution, and just like every other amendment cannot be ignored or legislated out of existence, neither can the 8th. So we're stuck with it. And you know what? Frankly, it's a good thing, because humans are really good at figuring out ways of torturing other humans. We got a very long history of doing it. So I'm glad it's there. Now, I'm going to wrap this up, because I actually have to go to work and actually get going and do stuff and be productive, so that the people that are on welfare who don't want to work have a check coming in. Now, I just said people who don't want to work. Now, there's people on welfare who do want to work, who can't find jobs. Those people, no problem with them. But if you can work and you choose not to, because you want to live off the system, you're scum. But that's just my opinion. And that's free speech. So with all that being said, y'all have a great day. Remember, we're all human. We all think a little bit differently, but we're all looking for the same thing: safety, security, and liberty. And with that, I bid you farewell.